And now the conclusion to In the Heat of the Night.
I was no different than tens of thousands of residents. You know, just frustration at seeing the desert, you know, disappear so quickly.
Well, you're different than all those other residents in one way.
I did something about it.
Mark Sands might call himself the accidental terrorist. As you'll see, his arson campaign started almost by chance, and its stated motive, protecting the desert, is actually much murkier than advertised. Sands spoke to us at his new home, a federal prison in Arizona, a change of address made possible in part by his best friend, Warren Jerems, who tape recorded Sands' confession to a multi-million-dollar string of arsons. Sands pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 18 years. He's 51 now. He'll be at least 65 before he's eligible for parole. You've wrecked your life.
And wrecked a lot of other people's lives.
He and his wife Peggy moved to Arizona in 1996. He was following her to a new job. They bought a home near the Phoenix Mountain Preserve. This Colorado native discovered he loved the Arizona desert.
It became one of my passions. Still is today. It was not uncommon for me to get to the top of a trail, get to a peak, to a ridge, and say, God, thank you for the beauty of your creation.
The exact language that would later help identify him as the CSP arsonist. But he says the process of becoming an arsonist took time and began just as investigators first suspected, with a personal grudge against a big house under construction on the edge of the preserve he loved.
And 95% of the time that I went out into the desert, that was my entry point.
There was no missing it.
There was no missing it.
And the more you saw it, the angrier you got?
I got annoyed. I don't remember getting angry. It kind of bothered me. It bothered me. I dreamt about it.
Then, one night, when he went to gas up the family car,
I took a milk jug with me, filled it mostly up, and went behind the house and hid it in a bush. Still not sure if I was going to do anything about it. And about 11:30 that night, after Peggy had gone to sleep, I went and I found the jug under the bush and had a set of matches with me and went into the house.
And you poured gasoline, what, all over the place?
No. I picked a spot in the center of the building.
How'd you know how to set a fire?
I didn't.
Used a fuse, struck a match?
Threw a match, went poof. I ran like hell, scared me to death. And I ran home, got rid of the shoes I was wearing, and crawled into bed. Peggy didn't notice, and I was in a cold sweat.
And you thought to yourself, what? I'm a criminal? I'm a hero?
I don't really believe, I didn't really do that, did I? I can't believe I did this. I was scared to death.
But something was stirring inside Mark Sands, a middle-aged PR man with an active fantasy life.
As I reflect back, most of my adult life, for what few dreams I remember, they're action dreams. You know, some big, grandiose thing is going on in my dreams, and I end up being the hero. I rescue someone's life. I snuff out people who are involved in criminal activity, you know, who are leeches on society.
What did you think when Lee Benson started to rebuild?
Then it became personal. You know, I had the impression he thought he could get away with it.
So Sands wrote the warning on Lee Benson's sign, carefully worded and carefully disguised.
And I wrote it left-handed in block letters. And I misspelled a couple of words on purpose. I thought that one through very carefully.
Had you come up with CSP at that point?
At the construction site, yes. I wanted it to be something bigger than just a solitary individual. I wanted it to be a convincing enough threat that maybe people wouldn't build. Lee Benson wouldn't come back.
But of course, Lee Benson did. Sands watched the security guard and waited for him to leave. Just before sunrise, he scaled the fence and torched the house again. Just as after the first fire, you take the long way home, you get in bed. Are you sweating this time?
Not as much.
The second fire really got the news coverage going. Remember, Sands was a former journalist who had been recently laid off from his public relations job. So this self-described news junkie watched and watched. You got no thrill from watching the homes burn.
I didn't stick around. Fire scared me. I had no thrill from watching them.
But you got a thrill from watching the coverage it generated.
Indeed. I was addicted to the news media coverage.
That videotape is definitely the story. There you see
And
house.
the story that I remember most, he speculated that since this was the second time, it was a big house right in the mountain preserve, it could be an example of eco-terrorism.
We may have an eco-terrorist on our hands.
And I go, bingo.
And so, he says, it all followed. The taunting notes, the letters to the media, the newspaper interview, a laid-off PR man. Was he proving something?
I was successful in manipulating the news media.
He drove the coverage, and the coverage drove him. He even lifted language for his CSP notes from news stories.
Neighbors were expressing their concern, their fear. I don't know how these guys operate. No one sees anything. It's like they slip in like a ghost and they slip out like a ghost. And that really appealed to me.
He got a kick out of frustrating law enforcement. The police came out with a composite sketch of the arsonist.
Oh, it was funny. They were just grasping at straws, and I thought it was funny.
I do get the sense that what appealed to you about all of this was that it was some kind of cat and mouse game, that you thought you were winning.
I was winning.
And for more than a year, he was, setting fire after fire and then escaping into the night. You went to college? You're a bright guy? No criminal history? What are you doing? You must have known you could have killed yourself, killed somebody else. At the very least, you were destroying other people's property.
I worried primarily about getting caught and its impact on the family. But I didn't worry about my own safety. I think there must have been a real rush, you know, living on the edge.
Police say his addiction to thrills started long ago. For while their investigation did not reveal arson in Mark Sands' past, it did reveal other things.
We really found two people. A lot of the neighbors told us that he was this upstanding citizen, and then we found several people in the neighborhood who said there were a lot of strange things about Mark Sands. He was found by some of the neighbors looking into windows in the middle of the night.
You're describing a sort of a sexual peeping Tom.
We had a lot of allegations from the neighbors that those things had occurred.
But there was never any police report filed.
There never was.
But there was evidence. When they searched Mark Sands' house after his first arrest, police found videotapes.
There was some videotaping done of some people we don't think were aware they were being videotaped in the privacy of their home.
Which, of course, is a long way from eco-terrorism. But police say it fits the profile of what they call an excitement-based arsonist. For investigators, there's a kind of a straight line here from whatever that is in the backyard of people's houses, whether that's voyeurism or something else, to surreptitiously taping people, to arson. And all of a sudden, to them, your motivation doesn't look like a desire to run a successful media campaign. It looks like something considerably darker.
I'm not a psychologist. I'm not going to get into, you know, this little game of, well, so-and-so said and so-and-so found. I don't see how that is pertinent to what I'm going to be doing time for.
But it is pertinent, psychology aside, for this reason. Revelations about Mark's secret life helped his best friend, Warren Jerams, decide to wear a wire and help put Mark Sands in prison.
Over a period of weeks, he lied to me. He deceived me. He set me up, you know, to be tricked into confessing him.
And Sands makes another point, that Warren Jerams' undercover heroics here at the Grand Canyon were not necessary, because at the time of the first arrest for writing on the sign, there had been no CSP fires for 3 months. Sands claims he had already decided to stop for good, and he says his change of heart came about, characteristically enough, after reading a newspaper story about his arson campaign.
I guess it was probably about the third or fourth fire where for the first time there was a profile of a family. And I started reading about how it was their dream home. And that's when it started to bother me. That's when I started thinking about that implication.
He says the New Times interview was part of an exit strategy, an end to the arsons. And he says that when he got caught writing on that sign, it really was what he told Warren: closure. That was going to be the last anybody heard from the CSP.
Last anybody was going to hear from the CSP, I was done. Wasn't worth the risk to my family any longer. Okay, thanks, CSP.
Of course, once he was arrested, he was under 24-hour surveillance. No way to start any more fires. So why, he wonders, did Warren have such an urgent need to trap him?
Warren was as obsessed with playing government agent as I had earlier been in seeing my activity in the news media. And I think his obsession got the best of him, as mine had for me.
Remember, before the Grand Canyon hike, police had matched Sands' DNA to the CSP letters. An arrest was inevitable. What Warren did was make the case stronger and the sentence longer.
This is the guy who knew I could go to prison the rest of my life and cooperated.
And this is the guy who, in the view of just about everybody except you, did the right thing.
You've never been around a prison population. You know, at the detention center, saying snitches are at the low end of the totem pole, right down there with child molesters. And I had people offer, saying they'd take care of things.
Meaning?
Oh, they'd hurt him. And I just walked away. I said, no, I don't want any bad to happen to him.
The two men haven't spoken since that fateful trip to the Grand Canyon, and Mark says he wants to keep it that way. That probably won't surprise you, but this might. You're going to be in prison for about 15 years, and Peggy says she'll be waiting
God
when
willing.
the gates open.
God willing.
You surprised by that?
No. Any other woman, any other marriage, yes. The odds are against us. The hell I put her through. She's an amazing woman. An absolute saint. We've talked about deceit, betrayal. We need to talk about unconditional love. We need to talk about forgiveness. From here, forward, it's a love story.
Mark Sands, former journalist, PR man, one-man eco-terror crime wave, still trying to write the story. Yesterday when I knew we were coming out to talk to you, it occurred to me that maybe you were having the last laugh here. You got such a thrill out of orchestrating that media campaign, and we're here interviewing you. Maybe we're giving you just what you wanted.
Am I coming off that way? I'm a very different man than I was a year ago. I don't need to be the center of attention. I don't need to be the last word. I think there may be some other people who have stepped into that spotlight for me.
By that, of course, he means his old best friend, Warren Jerams. There was a pretty sizable reward offered. Did you get the money?
I received a $66,000 reward.
What'd you do with the money?
I gave it to our church.
So you didn't do this for the money?
I didn't do it for the money.
Do you wish you hadn't done it at all?
No. It was the right thing to do. It wasn't the easy thing, but it was the right thing.
In the end, all the burned-out homes would be rebuilt. But the fires destroyed much more than that.
Warren was the kind of friend that any man should have when he's in trouble.
Angel or serpent?
Both. He's a guy that I care about a lot. Still, a guy that I have very conflicted emotions over. A guy I have forgiven.
Have you forgiven him?
I'm in the process of doing that.
Have you forgiven yourself?
I'm in the process of doing that also.
As you may remember, Lee Benson's home was the first one hit by arsonist Mark Sands. Benson began to rebuild, only to be torched a second time. This week, Benson tells us his home is finally finished and he's living in it. The third time's the charm, he says. That's all for this edition of Dateline Friday. We'll see you again for Dateline Sunday at 7, 6 Central. I'm Stone Phillipson for all of us at NBC News. Good night.
For a transcript, call 1-800-777-TEXT.